Now we know what a coral is, let's have a look at its life. How animals start their life, reproduce and die is called their life cycle. A coral's life cycle starts with a large mature colony spawning. Spawning is when male and female gametes are released into the water to mix. Gametes are the reproductive cells of animals. Now, in order to make sure that the gametes mix, all corals must release them at the same time. Now, corals don't have a watch or a clock, so what they use is the moon. The moon controls the tides and currents, and this is what the corals use to know when to spawn. For some corals, this only happens once a year, on a specific hour of a certain night of a particular month. At 6 Senses Lamu, this is 3 days after the full moon in March. After the male and female gametes are released, they will float to the surface, and this is where they will mix, and the male gametes will fertilize the female gametes. After some time, they'll turn into a little jellyfish-like creature. This is called a planulae, or larvae. The planulae will swim around looking for the perfect place to settle. This will be somewhere stable, with no nasty toxins, and just the right amount of light. Once the planulae has found the perfect place to settle, it will attach and turn into a juvenile coral. This is when it grows its mouth, its tentacles, and takes in its zooxanthellae if it needs them. Once the coral polyp is ready, it will start to clone itself. This means that all polyps in that colony will be identical to each other. Polyps do this in 2 ways, intratentacular budding and extratentacular budding. Intratentacular budding is when the coral polyp will split in half, creating 2 new coral polyps. Extratentacular budding is when a new coral polyp grows off the side or the base of the previous one. The coral polyps will continue to do this until they grow into a specific shape. Some common shapes are branching, that look like a tree, massive corals that look like a boulder or brain, or table corals that look like a table. This is the most basic way of categorizing different types of coral, and we will be using them later. Once the colony reaches a certain size, it will redirect its energy from growing into reproducing, and then eventually spawning, starting the life cycle all over again.
What did one coral say to its neighbor coral? How's it going there, my extratentacular buddy? Now it's time to make our own coral colony. So we'll be crafting these out of everyday recycled materials you might find around in your home. Here's an example that I made. So far I have 3 coral polyps, but there's space for a 4th one. Let's go make that now. All right, now that we're ready to make our very own coral colony, let me go through with you how you can make one polyp. So here I have the coral colony that I've made with 3 polyps and a space for 1 more. So we'll be making 1 more together. I'm making mine out of these toilet rolls. And I also have with me some scissors, a nice colorful marking pen, and a bit of tape. So what I'll do with the scissors is that I'm going to cut the toilet paper roll to about 1/3 of its size. This way I can actually make 3 polyps out of 1 toilet roll. So I'll do that by flattening it a little. There we go. And now it's time to add the tentacles. So with these polyps over here, they've all got 8 tentacles, so they're octocorals or soft corals. And I'll be making some cuts into the small toilet paper roll here to make some tentacles. I made the tentacles a little bit too large for this polyp, so I'll have to cut some of them in half. So I'll cut that one in half. Now I've got 7, and I'll cut this tentacle in half. Now I've got 8. Now I'm going to fold them outwards. So there we go. Now we've got our beautiful coral polyp that doesn't have any zooxanthellae. So let's add all of that colorful zooxanthellae. There we go. Now my coral polyp has all of its colorful zooxanthellae. It's time to get it to join its other buddies by sticking it down with some tape. And And there we go. Now you try.